In the heart of ancient Odu, under a crimson moon, there lies a shrine no one dares to enter. They say the spirits there do not rest. They wait. Every full moon, someone disappears. No trace, no sound, just the echo of their last breath carried by the wind. Tonight, the wind feels heavy again. The full moon rose red like a bleeding eye above the hills of Odu. From the distance, faint drums echoed from the old shrine, deep inside the forest. Everyone in the village locked their doors, except for a group of young men who believed the stories were lies. Among them was Ayo, tall, fearless, and proud, his torch shaking slightly as they walked the narrow path. Behind him were Kunle, Femi, and Tomiwa, whispering nervously. The night air was thick, too still, too quiet. As they reached the sacred boundary marked by cowries and blood-stained stones, Kunle froze. "Let's go back, Ayo," he whispered. But Ayo only smirked. "Ghosts don't scare men," he said, unaware that the shadows behind him had already begun to move. The shrine stood in silence. Carved wooden idols with hollow eyes stared at them. Strange markings glowed faintly on the walls as if alive. The air smelled of old incense and rot. Femi noticed something carved into the ground. Names, dozens of them. He traced one with his finger and froze. It was his uncle's name, the man who vanished last full moon. Suddenly, the drum stopped. Ayo turned to speak, but everyone's torches went out at once. Only the red moon above lit their terrified faces. And then, from deep within the shrine, came a woman's voice, soft, broken, whispering. "Who disturbs the sleep of Odu?" The group stumbled back, trying to relight their torches, but the matches refused to spark. The whisper turned into a low humming, then laughter, sharp and hollow. From the darkness, a figure appeared, a woman, old yet untouched by time. Her eyes shone white, her skin pale like ash, and her voice crawled under their skin. "You came for truth," she said, then paid the price of sight. Tomiwa screamed as his torch suddenly burst into flames, revealing dozens of human faces carved into the shrine walls. Real faces, their mouths twisted in silent agony. The spirit woman reached for Ayo, her hand passing through his chest like mist. When she pulled back, a black mark burned on his skin, the mark of Odu. "You will return," she whispered, "when the blood moon calls again." Then, everything went black. When Ayo woke, it was morning. The shrine was gone. The forest was quiet. But of the others, Kunle, Femi, Tomiwa, there was no sign. Only their footprints stopped at the shrine's gate. Ayo ran home in panic. But when he arrived, no one believed his story. The elders warned him never to speak of it again. "Odu takes who it wants," said Elder Bamidele, "and you are lucky to be spared." That night, Ayo couldn't sleep. He kept hearing his friends' voices calling from outside his hut. He ran to the door, but saw nothing except the red glow of the moon. On his chest, the mark burned again. And then, he heard it, drums, faint, distant, coming from the forest once more. Before we continue, if you're still here under this moonlight, you're brave. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the tribe of stories. Only on JourneyTales Africa. Now, back to the horror of Odu. Ayo begged Elder Bamidele for answers. The old man sighed, his eyes filled with guilt. "Many years ago," he said, "our ancestors made a deal with the spirits of Odu. A soul for a harvest, blood for rain. But the deal was broken, and since then, the shrine takes its own offering." He looked at Ayo's mark. "You were chosen." Ayo's heart raced. "Then how do I stop it?" he asked. Bamidele's eyes darkened. you don't. The following night, Odu's sky bled again. It started with a drizzle, red drops falling like tears from the heavens. The villagers hid inside, whispering prayers. Only Ayo stood outside, drenched in crimson rain, staring toward the forest. Each drop burnt his skin like fire. The mark on his chest began to glow faintly, pulsing with the rhythm of distant drums. Then, through the mist, he saw them. Figures walking between the trees. His friends, Kunle, Femi, and Tomiwa. Their faces were pale and empty, their eyes hollow. They beckoned silently. And before he realized it, his feet had begun to move. Ayo reached the river that bordered the shrine. The moon reflected red on its surface. In the water, faces floated, hundreds, whispering his name. Ayo, Ayo. He fell to his knees, trembling. "What do you want from me?" he cried. From behind, Elder Bamidele appeared, clutching a charm. "You shouldn't have come," he warned. "The river remembers. Every drop holds the soul of those who defied Odu." But before Ayo could reply, Bamidele's eyes rolled white. His body twisted unnaturally, and a deep voice spoke through him. The offering must be complete. Then the elder collapsed, lifeless, his blood flowing into the river. The ground trembled as Ayo stepped closer to the shrine. The drums beat faster. The wooden idols turned their heads one by one, following him. A wind of ash blew through the trees, whispering ancient chants. Inside, the spirit woman awaited, taller now, her shadow stretching across the walls. "You returned," she hissed. "The blood moon binds you." Ayo raised his torch. "Release them," he demanded. "Take me instead." She smiled, a terrible, knowing smile. "You think you have a choice?" The idol's mouths opened, screaming in unison. Ayo awoke, tied to an altar, wrists bound with woven grass soaked in blood. Around him, ghostly figures chanted in a forgotten tongue. The spirit woman hovered above him, her eyes burning like coals. "Long ago," she whispered, "your ancestors came to me for power. They took and never gave. You carry their death." Ayo's tears mixed with the blood on his chest. "Then end it with me," he pleaded. The woman leaned close. "There is no end, only remembrance." She raised her hand. The mark on Ayo's skin flared brighter than fire. From outside the shrine came a thunderous roar. The villagers, led by the brave Ifeoma, Ayo's sister, had followed him into the forest. Their torches burned bright as they stormed through the gate. But the forest shifted. Paths twisted, trees bled. One by one, their lights vanished. Ifeoma screamed her brother's name, but her voice echoed back distorted. "Oma, Oma." When she reached the shrine, she saw him, Ayo, standing among spirits, his eyes empty, his body alive but gone. By morning, Odu was silent. No drums, no whispers, only fog. The villagers who survived spoke of the forest moving, swallowing everything whole. Elder Bamidele's hut turned to dust overnight. The shrine was nowhere to be found. Ifeoma walked alone to the edge of the forest, holding Ayo's torch. She swore she could hear him in the wind. "Wait for me," his voice said faintly. "When the blood moon rises again, I'll be home." Years passed. The people of Odu rebuilt. They laughed, danced, and pretended to forget. But when the blood moon returned, a strange idea took hold. A festival to honor the lost. Drums played again, and the air grew heavy. Children painted their faces red. Ifeoma, now older, felt uneasy. As the moon rose, the drums turned to wails. The torches dimmed. One by one, the dancers froze. Their eyes turned pale. The music stopped. And from the darkness beyond the fires, she saw her brother again, smiling. Ayo stepped into the village circle, unchanged by time. "The moon has chosen," he said softly. Panic spread. Elders fell to their knees begging for mercy. "The debt is not paid," he continued. "Odu still hungers." He raised his torch, now burning blood red, and pointed toward the shrine that had reappeared at the village's edge. Ifeoma cried out, but her voice was lost in the roaring wind. The earth split open, swallowing the altar whole. When dawn came, Odu was gone. Only ashes remained. The forest stood silent, untouched, eternal. Travelers passing through said they sometimes heard drums from deep within the trees, though no path led there. And when the blood moon returned, a single torch flickered in the shadows, burning endlessly. If you listened closely, you could hear a voice whispering, "The death continues." Some stories never end, they only wait. Odu is one of them. If you ever see a red moon, don't follow the sound of drums, because in Odu's forest, every name is remembered, even yours.